All right, we're recording, and this is Nicole Bickham, and it's June 29th, and I'm going to refer to my phone, from time to time, because I have questions there.
Okay.
So, Nicole, tell me a little bit about your educational background.
Okay. So I just finished my 28th year teaching.
That's awesome.
First grade, all of it in first grade.
Oh my God. You love first grade.
I love first grade. Yeah. So I'm going to stay there. I'm just going to be there till the end.
Finish off strong. In first place.
I say I'm a one-trick pony. I just do first grade, that's all.
Well, if you know how to do something well, do it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to refer to this from time to time. So, tell me about... when was the first time you felt engaged as a student? Like, way back when you were a student. Can you think of a time when you were super engaged in school?
I think I was pretty lucky that I had a really good public school education. I know I had super fond memories of third grade.
Oh, really?
And my teacher was really creative and fun, and it wasn't the content as much as I remember the feeling. You know my quote that I love is Maya Angelou. They may never remember what you said or did, but they'll remember how you made them feel.
Great quote.
So I don't know what we were learning as much as, I remember we did homophones, which were called homonyms then. And we had this contest, and whoever could fill the dragon with the most got a prize. She just did really innovative things like that were very fun.
Can you think of one memory that sticks out where you noticed that you and the rest of the class were super engaged?
It's hard to remember.
I'm digging deep. Take your time.
I know. Maybe not third grade being super engaged. I just know I loved that year, so I can't remember specifics.
And you loved it because the teacher was so creative and...
Right. It was just fun learning all the time. She did little things. It's probably not even engagement, but we had a person of the day, and then we voted on a person of the week, and whoever was person of the month taught school for a day. So you met with her after school and planned all your lessons.
Did you do that?
And then you would teach the day you chose.
Is that where you discovered your love of teaching?
Maybe. I don't know. I thought I was going to be an engineer.
Really?
And then in high school, my girlfriend and I took mechanical drawing.
Okay.
Our parents said, if you think you like this, see what you think about it. And I was like, oh no, it's not for me. She went to Berkeley and became an engineer.
Oh my God.
But no, then I knew. Now, I just like the happy of children and learning.
Yeah.
That's way more my speed.
So what about that, having that reward of teaching the class for the day? Why do you think that was so enticing?
I think because it was so much fun to spend time after school with her, planning the lessons and all of that, but she made it such a big deal. It was such a reward.
Wow.
Really fun. And we did fun things, and you could make any lesson you wanted all day.
That is
all the
cool.
subject areas.
And that happened once a month?
Once a month.
So every month, one student was chosen, and they got to run the class for a day.
We were voted, so she gave Citizen of the Day.
Okay.
And then the 5 from the week, you would vote for the Citizen of the Week. The students voted. And then the 4 in the month, the students voted for Citizen of the Month.
Wow.
That person taught for a full day. Isn't that fun?
My God. What was that like for you?
Well, I remember it being super fun. Probably knew then, this is great. Teaching is great. She made a big impact because I can still remember so much from third grade.
Right.
I just remember feeling it was like you had to get all dressed up and teach, and it was great, fun.
Oh my gosh. That's so cool. What a cool experience that she was able to give 9 months in a school year, so 9 kids.
I know. Isn't that fun?
I wonder,
and here I am, almost 50, talking about it. She
so
would have
inspiring.
no idea.
Right.
Right.
Because in those 9 kids, one of 9 at least became a teacher. Wow. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I may just steal that.
I know, it's a
I
fun
may steal that idea. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about a time when you made a great choice or when you did an activity with your students that was super engaging and went really well.
I can think most recently, the last week of school, we did an escape room with the kids.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so, if you think first grade, I don't want to ever underestimate what they're able to do. And they, blew it out of the park. They were so good, so excited, so engaged. And it was academic, too. So it was, they had to solve all these academic things, and it was very fun for them.
Why do you think it was so fun for them?
Well, super engaging. And
what about it was engaging?
Well, you had to work with your team and solve these mystery riddles. Some involved 2-digit addition and subtraction. Some were just the last sound in a word and put the whole mystery together. So they really had to think and work together.
Okay, so collaboration,
big
problem
collaboration,
solving.
big problem solving. It was a race. So the people who started out in the front didn't wind up in the front at the end. So it was that whole slow and steady.
Okay.
Those slow and steady groups that got along and worked together did well. It was super fun. They loved it.
That is so fun. Was there any other time, either during this year or in your experience in teaching, when you had a really engaging experience with your students and they were just super into it?
Sure. We did a culminating activity for the 3 Little Pigs. We studied 5 different versions of the story. And then it was, their culminating activity was to build a house of straw, sticks, and bricks. And then we used a blow dryer to blow them over. They were way into that.
That is so
very fun.
Cool.
Anything involving STEM is usually a hit.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I think because they're up and moving and building and playing.
So if they have hands-on things,
absolutely,
they're engaged.
They're engaged.
What about hands-on, do you think, is so engaging for students?
Well, I think it's all of us. I think when we are actively involved in something, we're working with our whole body, not just in a desk with our
We're not
brain.
just sitting there passively.
Yeah, and for kids, it's movement. They need to move. And that is part of engagement for them, which is a huge part of first grade. They move all the time because that's so important.
Right.
So I think a lot of it is that. And I think they get to think in different ways. It's not just book smarts and what's the answer. I think they get to think in critical ways about problems. Some kids are good at that aren't maybe book smart. So I think it allows everybody a level playing field.
That's really cool. Man, 3 Little Pigs.
It was
Such a fun idea.
We did it with apples, where we, studied the growth of apples and did literature on apples, and then for science, do all these STEM things where they had to hang an apple with paper clips and tape. How long could they let it hang? Build a structure to stack an apple, anything like that. They are all in.
That's so great.
It is fun. And then we do a lot of center works, math centers is just enrichment for everything that we've taught. It's on the floor with things, building, CRA, whatever. It's very interactive. It requires partner work and talk. So that gets them going.
What about that interactiveness with partners and the teams that you mentioned? What about that is so engaging for students, do you think?
I think that we have to give them time to talk. I find
it gives them
time to talk and process, and then also rely on someone else to have the answer if they don't. Or together collectively figure it out. It's less isolating and scary for them. Because they can have a talk partner. We do this all the time as adults. You call your friend. What do you think? What should I do? That's what we're letting them do.
Develop those social relationships.
Absolutely.
And that kind of what kind of glues the learning in a way.
Yeah. We do everything in partners. Like they have a peanut butter and jelly partner. Somebody's peanut butter, somebody's jelly. They sit on the carpet with their partner. They sit at their desk.
And they're assigned that partner?
And we change them every month.
Okay.
So that's the partner they go to math centers with. That's the partner that they talk about everything before retelling the story. Or we have any sort of discussion, talk, thought process. That's who they're with for the month.
Okay.
Then we change them every month so they get to know other kids. So in the course of a year, they have 9 different partners.
Right. Mm-hmm. They really get to know those kids.
They really get to know those kids.
Like for 20 days that month or whatever. That's cool. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Yeah, feel free to take a break, whatever you need, Nicole. Gotcha.
I'm good.
Okay. So, what is your biggest challenge or frustration with student engagement?
I would say a challenge would be forced curriculum.
Why is that so challenging?
Well, because I know this isn't true for all teachers, but anyone who's done it very long, who feels like they could be an expert in their field or has invested themselves in finding out more and learning, knows the process to get somewhere. We know how to teach the standard, regardless of the tool.
Right.
Like whatever the curriculum is, I can get them there. And so when you're forced to use something that you know may not be as good as what you could create, it's tricky. It's why teacher pay teacher is so successful, and district office instructional services departments hate it, because we know that's made by teachers in the trenches who are looking for highly engaging activities.
Right.
They have a bias of a curriculum that you purchase, textbooks. It's way different.
They want to return on that investment.
It's very different.
There's a fiscal kind of...
and yet I see the importance in that, especially new teachers who don't have the knowledge or haven't learned yet. They need it to rely on. I get it.
Right.
But that would be something that's not as engaging.
Why do you think experienced teacher-created content is so powerful for student engagement?
Well, because we know what it looks like when it's delivered. Like we know how kids will receive that. We know, what steps we need to go to get somewhere. It's the backwards mapping thing that we've done before the word became cool.
Right.
We always knew what we wanted them to learn and how to get there.
Yeah.
We always did that. So now it's just all these words that are cool. But if we've been around and worth our salt, then we've been doing this for a long time.
Right. And so that forced curriculum...
It ties you to something.
That's your biggest challenge, because it's pulling you away from things that you know work, from experience, and from iteration after iteration.
I think the best of us take bits and pieces of everything we've done that we know works and combine it to our own program.
Right.
Which is why when people say, well, what do you use? It's very hard to articulate, because you've taken all the pieces of things you know work and put it together.
Right. It's almost like individualized curriculum.
It is.
Because it's very unique to you and your experience. And you're bringing that all in and that knowledge.
Based on the same standards we all have to teach.
Right.
But it's the way you get there that matters. And that's engagement.
Do you feel like forced curriculum, like, of course we have the curriculum, and do you feel pressure to adhere to that? Like,
I think we used to.
Okay.
I don't think so anymore. I think they've given us some freedom. Our district office has.
That's kind of great.
Great. Finally.
It's a
like
smart
you
move.
are the professional.
Yes.
And then watch, like I have always said this to my husband, let me do it my way and I'll show you. Like when 95% came out and they were pulling kids and doing all, I said, just let me run my system. I'll show you my results. I don't need that.
Yeah.
But I understand a lot of people do need it. So yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that when we are given that full autonomy to do what we know is right, it shows.
Why do you think... Well, I guess it's not really an issue right now, because why do you think the district doesn't just let teachers Like, just totally let teachers do what they know is best for kids. What do you
well, I have an inside perspective
You
because I'm
do.
married to a principal.
You do.
And he tells me all the time,
Uh-huh.
there are more teachers who need support and help who aren't excelling than those of us who really are trying hard to
Right.
make it our passion in life.
They need that.
They need the support.
They need that support and the safety.
And
net.
I understand that too.
Yeah.
I do understand that. You see
Right.
that in a classroom. You have kids that need your support. They need the structure.
Right.
They need it. You have other kids who you could give very little direction to and they would take it. They
Yeah.
would go with it and learn everything.
It's almost like the district is a classroom,
It is.
and the teachers are the students. And some students need that extra support, and other students are ready to move forward independently.
Yes.
How do you, bringing it back to your classroom, away from that analogy, how do you release those advanced students to move forward independently and be engaged without holding them back?
Well, long ago, the term was differentiated instruction,
That's what I do.
which we did before the word became famous again. And I think that's the key. I think everything has to be leveled to their level. Every whole class piece of instruction I do, I have a different expectation for my low learner than I do my high learner. Like, for example, if we were working on a word pattern, those on-level and low learners would work on the word, and anyone else would be expected to write a sentence about the word or more.
Okay.
If we were writing, and my expectation was that those on-level low learners wrote 1 to 3 sentences, my high learners better write 5 to 7.
Right.
So every assignment I give, that is the direction. You guys, I would expect this, not pointing it out, like, to embarrass anyone, but just walking around the room. They know, and I've always said to parents, you can tell truly gifted kids when they take an on-level activity and make it even higher, rather than the kids that parents tell you are bored.
Right.
That's just poor work ethic.
Yeah.
Because a smart kid who's really gifted will make any task above and beyond
Right.
if you push them.
Yes.
Like, we have a level library in our classroom.
Uh-huh.
So they're all in their books, in their zone, along with fun books. Because
Yeah.
they should be able to just pick stuff they want to read.
Right.
And then they have a huge selection of books at their reading level. And they read every night. That's the only thing we ask of anyone is to read.
Right. That's great.
So stuff like that is all just differentiated. Like any sort of a math skill-based program we do, they're moving at their own pace.
Right.
It's all differentiated.
Why do you think differentiation is so crucial to student engagement?
Well, wouldn't you feel like, well, for so many reasons, if I had to go sit in a class and learn Romanian, I would hope it was engaging and somebody would break it down to my level.
Right.
But if someone who spoke that was in that class, they'd be bored.
Right.
It's the same analogy. Like, if you have kids already ready to learn, we've got to give them what they need to learn.
Right.
And then those that need more support, we give them the support. Like, for example, so I had a super smart class this year. Like, they're with it kids, with supportive, wonderful families who
Send them on up.
Oh, they're awesome. Who've taught them what they needed to know in life. And so we always do a big animal unit. We study all the classifications of animals and all the things. And I thought, okay, this is the class that could take this and run. So they all chose an animal. Now, I've done animal reports in the past, very basic, like a paragraph.
Yeah.
I mean, the first grade standard for writing is to be able to write to a topic 5 sentences. Okay, so that's a reference.
That's
Opening
something.
sentence, 3 details, and a closing sentence. That is the standard. So they picked an animal, got a book from our library on their animal. They had research papers. They had to fill out diet, habitat, enemies, prey, like all the research. Then they had to take that and put it in paragraph form on each one of those topics.
Right.
They even used Google, some of them, when they weren't sure what the information they didn't have. We used Google. I told them how to search. Take the first thing there.
Cool.
They wound up with 8 paragraph reports. Like,
Oh
unbelievable.
my gosh.
Paragraphs. So what was
Have
the
you ever
standard?
seen that before?
So what is the, I mean, I've had kids that are bright that could
Right.
do it, but I had so many that we could really So like my low-level kids, we did it together on the same animal,
Uh-huh.
and we wrote 3 to 4 paragraphs together.
Okay.
My middle kids wrote 5 to 6, and the bulk of my class, 2/3, wrote 8-paragraph reports with illustrations and everything.
Oh my god. That's amazing.
It's amazing. It was so amazing.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
And how are the kids reacting to that?
Oh, they loved it.
Why do you think they loved it so much?
Well, I think because it was presented as this is such a big deal. Like, you guys are so smart. You're so ready for this. You know, we'll share our information. Like, they were just so excited about it. I think we have to remember, and I can be guilty of this, to push them so hard.
Right.
Because they rise to the occasion.
Yes. What about telling students that an activity is a big deal? Why do you think that motivates them?
Well, I think if they feel my excitement for something, they know it's worthy. Like if I'm super excited, they just naturally are too. Especially in first grade.
Yes.
You know, they feel that from me. And when we say this is going to be
I have a
something
feeling
your parents will see, like they still want to do that.
I have a feeling it's all grades.
Maybe,
Like, if you bring that enthusiasm, man, I just feel like that's such a big piece.
It's a big piece. So see, student engagement equals teacher enthusiasm. I mean, it's so true.
And I feel like the teacher enthusiasm is part of that classroom community or culture that, you know, those relationships that you build. And that's just another piece that like takes it to the next level. And that enthusiasm is like infectious.
Yeah.
The kids.
You can feel it because in summer school, I had 18 on my roster. 3 were not mine. 1 was new to the school. 2 were from a different class.
Okay.
The kids from my class, it is a whole different feel with each other, with me. Like you can feel
you have
the
that community
you
already.
built
Yep.
when someone else comes in. You just feel it.
I love looping it. You know what I mean? I only experienced that like
This
once
would be
or
the
twice.
class I should have done it with.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're
just
so
follow them
good.
on up. How many more years until you retire, Nicole?
Well, I'm 49, so I have a lot.
You are so young.
So young. Yeah. So it didn't do me any good to do it that young, but I just got through college quickly and started teaching.
Wow.
Yeah. So I still have a bit.
You have a bit
12
to go.
years probably.
Okay.
Maybe 10. But I don't feel that I want to go. I really feel like I am not ready. And if I retired, if I'm feeling like this, I would be sad. Like I would mourn it. I am not ready.
You enjoy it too much.
Way too much.
I can tell.
Yeah, well, thank you.
I can tell you really
Thank
enjoy
you.
it.
I do really enjoy it.
I think that makes a difference, that the teacher enjoys it and has enthusiasm for what they're teaching.
For sure. Just like everything, right?
Yeah.
Church, if your pastor is enthusiastic and loves it, you're getting in it. If they're not, you're out.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Yeah. That's so cool.
And that's what makes the parents so thankful, because they see that.
Yes.
They feel it, they see it, and they are so thankful.
And it's cultivating that little person's love of learning that will take them.
Yeah.
That will take them through until, you know, forever, hopefully.
Forever. I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
They
just
won't
don't-
remember what we said and did, but they will for sure remember how first grade felt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, Nicole, you're like an engagement genius. So,
Oh, no.
So you're
I'm just
only
a dinosaur.
No. So your only barrier, your only challenge is forced curriculum, and that's not even a challenge.
Yeah, right.
So is there anything else that you feel like gets in the way of students being engaged that you've come up against? And maybe it could be something in the past that you ended up solving earlier in your career.
I would say number 1 is forced curriculum, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I think we all experience student behavior that's challenging. But I am a firm believer you can turn that around with engagement and relationships, 100%. Unless it's a mental issue, a diagnosis issue of a disorder or something like that, a severe behavior. But relationships are huge, and that's student engagement. That's one-on-one engagement.
Right.
That's huge. I've had some really challenging kids through the years, and I've been okay. I do not send kids to the office. Now, watch what's going to happen this year. I'm probably going to get a doozy. Be calling Steve.
Steve!
But I think so much of it is that they have to feel seen and loved.
Right.
They have to.
Yeah.
The easier probably at my level for them to feel that than yours, because they're already,
Right.
changing so much. But yeah.
It doesn't go away though. The need for a relationship and to have that safe environment.
Yeah.
I feel like that's crucial.
And for some kids, like kids from group homes, my husband's been dealing with this. It takes them so long to build trust with someone because of their hurt that you can sometimes not get there because it takes so long to get there.
It takes a long time, and sometimes their situation changes and you don't get to finish building
So
that
those
trust.
things you can't help.
Yeah.
So that would be a big barrier, or behavior issues beyond your control,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay. Cool. That's awesome. Those are such great ideas. Very inspiring. All right. Okay, so what is your biggest hope, dream, or desire relating to student engagement? What do you hope it to be? If you had a magic wand or whatever.
Well, I hope it would be obvious. I hope that you would walk in, anyone, any time of day, and go, oh, okay, they're all engaged.
So
it would be obvious.
It'd be obvious, it'd be visible.
Visible in every way. I think the hope would be that every kid felt a part of it, like that they were an important part of all the learning, no matter what they had to add, how great or small.
Why is being a part of that learning experience, why do you think that's so important?
Oh, I think it's just like the human condition. Like if we feel a part of something, we're invested and we want to do better.
Right.
I think that's all of us.
And what would happen if there was a class and all of them felt a part of that learning community? What would that look
Well,
like?
that's the word. It's a community where everybody's taking care of each other.
Right.
Looking out for each other, helping one another, in it together. That's the goal. In classrooms and the world.
Right.
We're just a microcosm of the bigger world.
Right.
That should be always our goal.
So you feel like, it sounds like what you're saying is, if the kids can get used to being in a community where they're constantly being involved and a part of and taken care of by other people, that they'll bring that out into the world.
I hope.
Yeah.
I hope.
Right.
I hope I make more teachers out of this. The kids want to be educators.
Right.
But that they just want to contribute, be part of it and feel heard and not afraid to be involved because they have felt heard and seen and loved and all that.
That's awesome.
I know I've done a lot of new teacher trainings. We play this game, which my daughter, was in my training last year. It's the first time I got to train her, which was really fun. And she goes, "Mom, that was the best training we went to." So, speaking of canned curriculum, we were given stock Google Slides from the district
for the new teacher
training.
Okay.
I took it, completely redid it, did everything they asked in terms of assessment technology, curriculum, all the things, made it much more visibly pleasing. But then the whole afternoon was student engagement. So you know John Quinones from What Would You Do, that show on TV, where they put people in situations and then they watch what they do.
Oh,
It's
okay.
all like, what would you do if you saw something happening?
Uh-huh.
So we played that, and it was all classroom situations. Like, what would you do if a child showed up at school with cigarette burns on their skin? To what would you do if a kid threw up all over the standardized test? To what would you do if a child said I love you? And like all the different kinds of things that, and they're all true things that have happened to me. Like
so
crazy
funny.
things. And like we talked through like what would you do? And one of the things we talked about is don't ever be afraid to tell kids you love them. Like we should be telling kids we love them. Like kids say I love you, you should say it back.
Right.
We should always say it back.
Right.
So that was a big thing in that game. I was like, the kid says it to you, and new teachers are like, you can't touch them, you can't say anything, and I'm like, oh no. You say you love them.
Yeah.
You always say that. But anyway, that game is really fun because it's all just about how would you react in all these situations.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I may be stealing that one, Nicole.
Help yourself.
Okay.
I even have the slides if you need them.
So, since you've worked with new teachers so often, what are the most common misconceptions teachers have about student engagement, like how to engage kids when they're teaching?
Well, one thing I say in all of that training is the first 6 weeks are more about setting up procedures, routines, and management than they are at learning anything. You'll get the learning, you'll get it. But you have got to be consistent with routines, management. I mean consistent.
Right.
Not mean, consistent.
Yeah.
My yes is yes, my no is no, and this is how we do it.
Right.
And then it pays off. Then you sit back and you're good.
Right.
But that's a huge piece. And that's student engagement, because if I can't keep control of them, if they don't know how to work partners, if they don't know how to get back to their seat in 10 seconds, if they don't know what my signal is for them to be listening to me, we are wasting way too much learning time.
Right.
So all of that is so critical.
Why is it so critical? Like, why can't we just do it for like a week instead of 6 weeks?
Well,
what would happen?
Because we know you have to have 21 days to create a new habit. Like, we're creating habits in kids. Like, even just in summer school, my students all push their chairs in. They know how to walk out. The other 3, they aren't pushing their chairs in. Like, I'm like, oh, see, those are simple little things.
Right.
That you can
And it
see
takes
what's
practice.
been taught and what hasn't.
Right.
So, yeah, you're just making good habits out of them.
Yeah.
And everything runs so well when it's fine-tuned.
Yeah.
It's like a car, our bodies, all of it. It's a classroom. When all those things are fine-tuned, I have said many times, no matter the class, any of my students could sub for me because they know what's expected and what it looks like. That's what it should be. So fine-tuned.
How do you, and this is a personal question, with so many procedures and things to learn in those 6 weeks, how do you deliver that in an engaging way to where you're not just like looking at a slide and saying this is the procedure? Like, how do you do that with your
Well,
class?
it starts the moment they come in the door. I mean, the moment. We do not waste a minute. Like, not at all. There's a procedure for putting their things away and getting in their seats. And then I'm greeting every group and awarding points or whatever they got. And we are moving. Like, we can get in the door, unpack, say hello, and be ready to go in minutes, you know? And then it's just constant engaging teaching. There's not downtime. It's just always something. There isn't time, to get lost in the shuffle.
Right. You have such limited time. You need to maximize.
Yeah. So
every
like those
minute.
first 6 weeks, there are certain tasks we do. Like the first full 5-day week, we do a character trait study. So it's some of our favorite books, like Mean Gene, The Recess Queen, Chrysanthemum. It's all the books on friendship and character.
Okay.
So we talk about vocabulary and all the academic things, but we talk about the lessons and what that means to us. And then there's always a big art project. Okay, it's just about teaching procedures.
Yeah.
Where do you put your trash when you're doing this project? what do you do with your scissors? What about your glue? How do you use glue? Like, if
So
those
it's
are
like-
very purposeful,
Right.
not just to make it cute.
So it's not just fun or getting to know kids necessarily, but it's for teaching them those procedures.
100%. 100%.
It's a smart start, Nicole.
Like, you could name, like, well, you could ask me if you came in, why are you doing that? And I would tell you. For example, we have to study sight words because that's part of the reading program. Reading,
Right.
you have to know sight words. So instead of just doing sight words, which we do interactive on whiteboards, we have songs, chants, cheers. Our handwriting practice is the sight words. So it's not just handwriting practice,
Right.
it's the sight words. So it's like killing two birds with one stone. And then the sentence with the sight word is the grammar. They have to circle the capital with the green, circle the period with red, yellow for spaces. So like you took one skill and turned it into all these procedures.
Right. That's really cool.
And then, like, the typical stuff, like a doorbell, they don't just, like, stop. They have to put their hands on their head and freeze. And they cannot move until I ring it a second time. Because how many times are you doing an activity? You ring the bell, you start talking to them, they start talking, whatever.
Right.
They have to keep their hands there until I'm done with the direction. And then I ring it again and they go.
Wow.
So, like, they're like trained little monkeys in such a good way because
Right.
everything runs efficiently.
Yeah.
So, it's,
That's awesome. Nicole.
yeah. But I've had a lot of years to do this.
You've had some practice.
I've had some practice. Yeah, some practice.
Is there any other misconceptions that new teachers have about how to engage students that you've seen?
Well, first, like I said, I think it's the procedures, routines, and management that is critical to all of it.
Right.
Yeah, I think you have to make a schedule and keep your schedule and do not allow yourself minutes of downtime or you lose kids,
Yep.
especially my level. Your level too.
Oh, yeah.
Any level. You can't have, that's why your transitions have to be flawless. You have to know where you're going every minute of the day.
Yep.
So you don't lose any kids and that kind of stuff.
And that's where things might fall apart with teachers
Yeah.
because they're not managing that time or they're miscalculating how long an activity will take and then there's that 10 minutes where they're like, what do I do? And then
Yeah. A big misconception, I've had many student teachers, many. Even my own daughter who, worked at my school at Old River with me for not with me, but in another grade and would spend time in my classroom. So she saw me teach all the time.
right.
I think when you're, have been in the profession, you know what you're doing, it looks really easy.
Yes.
There is so much work that goes into the easy. I've had many student teachers who've said, I'm ready to teach, I can do it. And I say, are you sure you're ready? Have you thought of this and this? Yeah, I'm good, because I made it look easy.
Yeah.
And then they get up there and it is not easy. And they realize what I was saying when all of that went into it. So I think that might be a misconception, is that they can do it, it's easy, but they don't realize when it looks easy what went into it to get it to easy.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the one thing they stumble upon when they see you do it so easily, but then they try it and then student engagement goes out the window? Is
I
there
think
any?
transitions are huge.
It's that element of time, isn't it?
It's time. They've got to be quick and meaningful and rewards. Like, I don't do tangible rewards. It's all about like free Friday fun time or
Right.
a happy note home or you get to be the person of the day.
Yeah.
I don't do prizes, candy, and all the business.
Why don't you do that?
Well, I just don't think they need it. And yet, I will say on the flip side, my daughter's at a title school. Those kids are highly motivated by tokens.
Yes.
Which is why PBIS is based on a token system of the store and they can buy things. There are different kinds of learners. At Highgate, our learners are not as motivated by that.
Right.
It's intrinsic. At other schools, they are highly motivated by candy tokens. So I think you have to figure out what works. I choose not to. I haven't for 20 years because I just want it to be about, intrinsic, like
What do you mean by intrinsic?
That they want to do it because it feels good, like it's the right thing to do, or doing the right thing. I mean, that's always been my class rule before the Husky Way was do the right thing.
Yeah.
And they know what that means. At the beginning of the year, what does that mean in the classroom? How do you do the right thing as a student? How do you do it as a teacher?
Yeah.
How do you do it in the hallway? How do you do it on the playground? How do you do it in the cafeteria? Like, how do you do the right thing in the bathroom? It's always been that. So when he brought the Husky Way, we added it to it, like be safe, respectful, responsible, and do the right thing, because they know what that means.
Or you could even say, do the right thing by being safe, respectful, responsible, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was answering this question about. Transitions. And keeping them engaged.
Why do you think that timing and that transition time is so crucial for engagement?
Well, because you give them, you know this, you give them an inch. And it's even, you'd be hard pressed to find me not get my kids when that second bell rings. I don't leave them out there ever. Because they misbehave.
Right.
Like, it's every second of the day. Like, we cannot dawdle getting our kids from their line or trouble happens.
Right.
Like, we can't, give them any minutes for things to happen.
Right.
We've got to have them in the palm of our hand the whole time. When you lose them in transitions or any of that, it's really hard to get them back.
Why do you think student engagement relies so much on the teacher keeping that tight schedule? What about that facilitates engagement?
Well, I mean, we're the captain of that ship, and the captain's got to know what they're doing. They've got to have a rein on all, or it's mutiny.
Yeah.
Do not want that.
Well, I'm just having flashbacks.
And I think it makes, when kids know you are confident and you know what we're doing and you mean what you say, they buy in.
Yeah.
That's important.
Right.
You can give them a look. You don't have to use words. You can give them emotion, things like that.
Yeah.
But that's all set in those first 6 weeks to 2 months,
Yeah.
They're going to know. I mean it when I say it. I've used the phrase a lot of times, did you think I was kidding? Like when I asked you to do that, did you think I was kidding?
Uh-huh.
And just stare at them.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't kidding. That's all it takes, Not
I
all
like
it
that
takes,
one.
but that's from, what's his name?
Harry Wong? Yeah.
No, he came to Rick Morris.
Oh, Rick Morris.
Yeah,
yes.
he says that. Do you think I'm kidding?
Did you think I was kidding?
And like when they're in a dispute with another student and they say, Hans said this. And that's not true. I said, so Hans is lying to me right now. Like with you standing, so Hans is lying to me right now. Yeah. Okay, so you believe Hans is lying right now. Like usually that takes it too. Because they're like, well.
For the tattlers. Mm-hmm. I think the last thing I said to my tattler this year was like, I need to have that in writing.
Tattling got so bad for us after lunch recess. So there's that book, The Tattle Tongue, which is great for little kids.
Okay.
It's all about when you tell things that aren't, like, there's 4 criteria. You have to be danger ranger, is it true? All these criteria. So we read the book and go through what it means for that criteria. And I said, now here's the deal. If we can come back from lunch and no one tattles, you'll get 5 marbles in the jar. But if you tattle and it's not somebody in danger, somebody's not hurt, you're not minding your own business, or you haven't tried to solve a problem, then that's tattling and you're not getting any marbles in the jar for a classroom.
Okay.
It helped so much because they started using those words. I was a danger ranger. She fell down and skinned her knee and she needs a Band-Aid. So that counts. That's not
great.
tattling.
Right.
But there's lots of times they said, oh, you weren't minding your own beeswax, which is what the book calls it. So that's tattling. Sorry, no.
That's interesting. It all needs to be taught.
It all has to be taught.
You can't just say, don't tattle.
Right. It has to be.
Because they don't know what that means.
That's like why the first 6 weeks, like it's all about even reading centers, when we start doing centers.
Right.
How are you going to do the right things in centers? How will you not? What does that look like? big modeling poor behavior that gets your bang out of your buck more than modeling appropriate behavior.
That's so interesting.
So like if how do I put my books away? Like there's so many procedures. How do I put them back? If I model throwing it or putting it in wrong, they're laughing hysterically. But they know that that's not going to look like that.
Why do you think modeling non-examples or bad examples is so effective with engaging?
Well, it's funny too.
Yeah.
It's like when we'll say, like, how do you do the right thing in the bathroom? We always give non-examples and examples. Because the humor in it
it's like,
connects it more, I think.
Yeah.
They just know, and especially if it's something they've done, then there's no, I mean, we have a chart. It says that's a non-example, that's a no.
Right.
So.
Man, this is so great, Nicole. And you've spent so much time. I want to respect your time. And before we close, is there anything else that you want to share about student engagement or your experience or any final words?
Well, just some things I have done that I think are big deals for kids to feel loved and accepted. Because I think when they feel that, they're more engaged also. Like we have a class promise that we say every single day with motions.
Can you say it for me?
Yeah. It says, Huskies will be safe, be respectful, responsible, and do the right thing. Now I haven't done it forever. I'm going to have to remember. It's on my slides. We make mistakes. We have fun. We do the right thing. We laugh and have fun. We show respect to others. We do our best every day. It's okay to make mistakes. We are all friends. We love one another. We are a family. And then at the end of every day, the last thing we say, last slide of the day, is Mrs. Bickham loves each and every one of you no matter what.
Oh, that's so sweet.
You know, even if they're making a poor choice, I can say Mrs. Bickham loves, they can finish it. No matter what you do, I'll love you.
Yeah.
But I'm going to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
So we say that every single day. So those things are big.
Wow. That's so powerful. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for the time, Nicole.